Hello, my name is Timothy Johnson II. I'm a 19-year-old junior biochemistry major, leadership studies minor, currently attending Hampton University. And I have a very special panel here with me today. This is my inner circle of friends, and we are all very interested in making change in Genesee County. So, right next to me, a good friend of mine named Kayla Shannon. Kayla, you want to take it away?
Hi, my name is Kayla Shannon. I am an 18-year-old rising freshman of the illustrious Spelman College. When I attend Spelman, I will be hoping to major in political science or public policy with an end goal of being a social justice activist full-time.
Okay. Charles, you want to tell them what you are?
Hi, my name is Charles Kelly. I am an 18-year-old rising freshman that will be attending Michigan State University. My plans are to have a major in kinesiology.
Most definitely. Michael?
Hi everyone, my name is Michael McGovern. I am currently 19 years old and I am a junior attending University of Michigan Flint. I am currently majoring in public health with a minor in political science in hopes of going to law school and earning my master's in public health. I hope to eventually infiltrate the public policy market and create some laws to target minorities specifically.
Of course. Cruz?
Hi, my name is Cruz Duhart. I'm a 19-year-old dual enrolled student who will be attending Morehouse College in the fall. And I will be majoring in English, and my hope is to become a writer and poet.
Sam?
Hi, my name is Samara Abernathy. I am an 18-year-old sophomore at the Central State University. My major is social work, and with that I plan to get my MSW, which is my master's in social work, and work in a psychiatric hospital with mental patients because I don't think that people in mental health hospitals are treated correctly.
Okay. So I think we're all here because we want to be the change that we see in the world, which is monumental at this point in time, such a young age in our lives, and we're provoking change, we're acting towards change, and things of that nature. So, about voting. So this year, due to the current COVID-19 pandemic and the past events, all election polls will be closed on August 4th and pending on November, and you are to vote via absentee ballot. If you have not gotten one of these in the mail, you should be on the lookout for it. However, Kaylee, you want to tell them more about how to register to vote?
So, I know we're young and I know we use Google. So for those of you who are unsure of how to register, they made it very simple for you. If you just Google Michigan State registration, there will pop up a link, or any state, wherever you are. If you Google registration, for most states it's online, and you just have to click on the link, and they will ask you for a list of information, and you'll just fill that out, and it's literally as simple as that.
Of course. Michael, do you want to touch on, after they register to vote, how to actually vote?
So after you register to vote, you will be receiving an absentee ballot in the mail that will basically let you know if you want to just vote for the presidential election or if you wanted to do both dates from now on. So you'll first fill out the application correctly with all your information as you did before when you wanted to register to vote, and then once you finish your form, you will mail it, email it, or deliver it directly to your county clerk's office, and you're ready from there. Voting will be on August 4th, and just make sure to mark your calendar and be ready.
Of course. So we talked about registering to vote, how to do that. We talked about how you actually get your ballot in the box, per se. What about the importance of voting, especially for this age group right here? You know, the fresh voters, the new voters, the 18 to 30, we'll say, the young folk, as it's called. Cruz, you want to touch on the importance of that?
For me personally, as a black man, I see that it's important for us to vote because there have been a lot of people who worked hard to give us the ability to. And now that it's all right, we should take that. And it's also important because if you want to actually see change, you have to actually be part of it and take the action by voting.
Of course. Sam?
I also agree. I feel like because this is our future that we are going to end up being in, we definitely want to be the ones to make a change and vote for a change and educate ourselves on how we're going to change, and it's very important.
Good point. Charles?
I agree with both Cruz and Sam. We have to be the ones to put in place the people that we want to enact the change that we want to see happen. Yeah. Because many people, a lot of times, can get discouraged with past elections, but like you can always make a change. There's this quote from this poem called "Destined" by Eric Lamar Brantley. Fate is only fatal to those who choose to view their destiny as something new, something to lose. So don't get discouraged. You can still next time reform change, and that doesn't only go for the presidential. That goes for your senator, that goes for your governor, that goes for your mayor. Just put in place the people you feel like are going to change for the betterment of your community.
That's a little tough to follow. But I would just simply say that younger people have always been ones to influence change. And we have to remember that in our generation full of social media, we can't take things at first glance. Make sure when you're voting that you're researching the people you're voting, that you agree with what they're standing for, and that you make sure that you're making a conscious decision, not based on some clip you see on Twitter. I just want to make sure that we understand that we have to fix the systematic barriers that prevent us from going forward. And if we complain and we don't do what we want to do to fix what we are complaining about, we have no right to say it's a problem still. We have to be out there and make sure we're influencing the change. And just remember that this voting is not just for the presidential election. It can influence everything that is going on around you. So if you're upset about the Flint water crisis, go out and vote. If you're upset about things that are happening to black people, go out and vote. It is very important to get out there.
Of course. And so we know that the August election date is August the 4th. Like she said, mark your calendars, make it be known, share with your friends and family. It is like a life or death matter to actually get out and vote. No matter how old you are, 0 to 99. Well, not 0, 18 to 99. You know what I mean? And so many people that fought, lost their life, got hurt in the era that African Americans were trying to get the right to vote. And now, not even 100 years later, it's like we lost the care for it. It's not there anymore. It's not an imperative decision like, oh, I could, but I had to work. I could, but had a doctor's appointment that day and kind of ran longer than expected. Honestly, the whole absentee ballot is for those people that can't make it to the polls, for those that they know they have to work a 12-hour shift that day, or they know that they're going to be out of the state on vacation. You cannot physically be at the polls. The absentee ballot is what is meant for you to use. You have 0 excuses to not vote.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's very important for us to remember. I think oftentimes people make the excuse that I don't support either candidate.
Right.
I think both candidates kind of suck, right? Or whatever your excuse may be. But honestly, not voting does not show that you don't support the candidates. Not voting only silences yourself. You are hurting yourself by not taking the opportunity to make your voice heard. Even if you do not support every aspect of every candidate, honestly, that's not going to happen. Just as if you would never fully agree with every aspect of a person's personality, or you would not fully agree with any person on every subject, there's not going to be a candidate, most likely, that you support every single view or every single thing that they stand for. So as a voter, it is important that, one, not only do you vote, but also let your candidates know what you want them to stand for. Mm-hmm. And voting is the way that you tell candidates, I support these things and I don't support these things. Now, after you vote for somebody who most stands by the things that you agree with, then once they're in office, you are allowed to tell them, as your representative, this is what I want you to support. This is what I want you to talk about. This is what I need as a community member. But if you do not vote for a candidate that at least best supports you and your ideals and what you and your community need, then you are saying that you do not care or at all or are bothered at all by what happens to your community. Because whether we support these people or not, they are going to have an impact on how much funding our schools get. They're going to have an impact on what bills we pay. They're going to have an impact on taxes. They're going to have an impact on so many things that affect your day-to-day life. So if you are saying, I don't like this person and so I'm not going to vote, you're saying I'm fine with whatever this next person does in office. If you have intentions of remaining a U.S. citizen or of remaining a state citizen, then you are going to be impacted by at every single level of municipality. You are going to be affected by the decisions of the people that you are meant to vote for.
I like that, and I also want to add that us young people in our generation have already done very well on being loud and speaking up. Due to all the things that are happening around us and all the events that are occurring. And I just feel like we can talk about it on Twitter, we could do our blackout post on Instagram, and all of that is definitely important and it definitely matters, but essentially at the end of the day, we need a vote, we need a count, and we need enough people to make that change, because if we just keep it in a Twitter post, the effective is minimum. So I definitely think that it's very important for us to speak on paper as we do on social media.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to go?
It's
What I think a lot of what's being said is we have to hold people accountable, and one of the surefire ways to do that is through voting, because it shows that these things we find are important. Because this candidate says he's going to do these things for us, like help fix the pipes, help change the police system that we have, things like that. You show through your vote that that's what matters to you, and it's like she said, like Kayla said. Once they get into office, you can hold them accountable now. It's not just things that politicians say. If we actually hold them accountable, they will follow through. And to be honest, when you look at it, if no one else is holding you accountable, would you do what you're supposed to do? And so what we have to do is step past these lines and take it into our own hands. And our vote is one of those parts. Sending out emails to your senators, things like that, showing up to city council, all those things are important. And any time that you do things like not vote, you stifle that voice. You break up that voice to where it's not as loud. I mean, protests, like she said, shoot, the blackout, that makes a statement, but what does that statement mean? When you vote, you show exactly what that means. And I feel like when you don't, you take away this personal voice that you have. And we can't make this change that we desire so much without making that voice shine through the way it's supposed to.
I was simply going to say, although you can't build the perfect candidate, you can build yourself up to be the better citizen. And that goes by voting. That goes by knowing who your representatives are and your senators are in your county. Making sure that you write them if you don't agree with something that they're doing. Keeping track of a candidate's track record or what bills are passing in Congress. There is a website that is available to you to look up your zip code and figure out who these people are for your region so you can hold them accountable. Make sure that you look up resources to where you know where to go and find out what they are doing for you. And if it's not advocating for you, then you hold them accountable, and your vote got them in office, but your vote can take them out of office as well. So make sure that you use your voice to your advantage.
Of course. There's a quote that says, reading is fundamental. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of reading personally. However, when it comes down to it, I will read. And just off of that quote, you definitely have to research, who you're voting for and what they stand for. Like, we all echo the same thing right here. If you don't know and you're just, blindly, I'll say, going to vote for someone because of, oh, mom said to, oh, my auntie and them, they support them. No, you have to make your own conscious decision as an adult. You're over the age of 18 now, so you can vote. As an adult, you have to make your own conscious decision, research for yourself, not based off of what you see on Twitter, CNN, Snapchat, Facebook. You know, you definitely have to, if you haven't met the person, if you don't know anything about them, and you know, you're just voting for the same old because they've been in there and they're doing a good enough job, but it's not the job that you want. Like, you, who gets a car and it's a good enough car? Like, that's, I don't think anyone's dream car is just a good enough car. Like, you want the best one on the lot, you know, but you don't want a good enough job. You want the best job that can be done. And if you know that that's not being done, then vote where it applies. Vote where it matters. Vote where it counts. Even if you voted for that candidate before and you see now that they're making mistakes along the way and they're not recognizing their mistakes, and somebody else comes along who knows what they're doing and can do it better, then vote. Change. Vote for a change.
To add on to that, I think it's also very important to understand that you do not also have to always vote for the same party. Do not vote for somebody simply because their ballot says that they are a Republican or their ballot says that they are a Democrat. You do not have to, voting for the party doesn't necessarily always vote for your ideals. It does not always vote for what's in your best interest. So it's very important to not just research somebody and start this research and then see that they're a Democrat and be like, oh, I'm not a Democrat, so I don't vote for them. Or see that they're a Republican and think, oh, I'm not a Republican, so I don't vote for them. Go through and see what they stand for. See what bills they've supported in the past. If they have some sort of political background, see what they've supported, see who they have stood by, see who is supporting their campaign, because that's also very important. You don't want to vote for somebody and they say they're standing for all of these things, but then everybody that's funding them directly contradicts what they say that they're standing for. So you want to be very important. You want to be very serious and very critical about who you're voting for, because this isn't just some run-of-the-mill, like you're voting for the next janitor. No, you're voting for somebody who is going to speak on behalf of you. Democracy is a system that is based on the voice of many people who then vote for a representative in America, a representative who will speak on behalf of you. And so if you're saying, if you're voting for this person, then you're saying that whatever comes out of their mouth, for the most part, I agree with, and I stand by that, and I trust them, this person, enough to make decisions on behalf of not only yourself, but your family, not only your family, but those who aren't able to vote, and not only the people who aren't able to vote, but the people who will follow you. Like, voting is so much more than just, oh, he or she or they will be around for the next couple years or the next couple months. Voting, what they do, will affect generations from now. It often takes many generations for a law or a bill or anything like that to be altered after it's put into paper and pen and signed off. So once again, be very clear. You do not have to vote for a party. You do not have to you do not have to vote based on their name or who their name is associated with. You vote based on who this person is, what they support, what they stand for, what their track record says, and all of those things. What matters to you?
I think I was going to add that you should make sure you see yourself in their campaign and in their statements. As a minority, as a black woman, I believe if you don't see yourself, then that person isn't right for you. And if you don't see yourself, make sure that you make them know that you don't see yourself. We are often silenced and underrepresented in all aspects of law. In many of the studies that I'm currently learning in college for law school, you do not see black people on any of those pages. We were not even thought of for so long. So we should make sure that we are being represented. They want the black vote, and we need to hold them to it. The black vote is so important to them, and they need to make sure that they are representing us when they receive that black vote. They urge black voters to come out and vote, yet many of the laws do not even include any of us. So we need to make sure that we are represented and we see ourselves in their campaign and in their statements. If it does not include us, then we need to make it known that something needs to change. Because black lives do matter. And we need to make sure that they know that we matter and our vote does matter. And our vote should not only matter when we get you into office, but it should stay there while you're in office.
Mm. So, like, looping back around, some good points, man. Looping back around, just, as we're all African Americans in America, but, at this young age and this pivotal point in our lives, talk to, the elders, your grandparents, your great grandparents. Many of them, we think like this age where blacks couldn't vote was so long ago. If your great grandparents are still living, ask them what they had to go through or what they witnessed to be able to vote, because I'm sure they can tell you about their parents that were in the marches with MLK, that were doing the sit-ins at counters and things of that nature. It's been here for a while, and it's not that long ago that it happened. And the fact that, again, now we're here and we don't vote, it's like, where did the disconnect occur to where we just thought it was okay not to vote, or where we thought it was too much of a burden to vote at that?
Yeah.
I feel.
Okay, sorry. I also want to point out that when we do have these conversations with our grandparents, I want us to use that as motivation. Like, you should hear those stories about sit-ins and rides and all that stuff, and be almost should be heavily influenced in wanting to make a change, because you hear those stories and you're empowered by those stories. And when you hear those things, you definitely want to be like, oh, well, since that's something they could do, then how come I can make a change in my generation and understand the change and fight for it the same way, or maybe as aggressive and as more.
The phrase "hold people accountable" or accountability has been used a lot, and I think that is so important, because you see all of us around here, how we're all young. We have to hold our peers accountable to go vote, because just like you tell your friend, oh, listen to this album or play this video game, or matter of fact, because we're getting into sports and a lot of them are canceled, so I know we're missing them. So like, think about this. Say you're I ran track in high school, so say somebody missed track practice, that's laps. Right now, when you do not vote, you make your community start running laps. You make them run laps. I'm not talking about no 400, 800. I'm talking mile repeat. Because that's what you're doing. No one is forced to vote. It's our right. There are no excuses, because it's so important. You just help your team, help your community get further along. Help your kids, like they were saying, and just listen to your elders, your parents, your grandparents, or even just go through the history books. It will inspire you.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, it will inspire you to make a change and just to go out and vote. It's simple as writing it down. Trust me.
I thought about that the other day. Like, if someone got paid how they voted, would you really be making as much money as you wanted to?
Would you be in your bag?
No, because think about it, you vote twice a year, 3 times a year. If you vote consecutively, you'd be getting paid consecutively. If you ain't voted from 2 years ago, I'm pretty sure you would be running for some money right about now. I think we need to have that mindset when we vote, instead of just, oh, it happened, oh, it's just another day. It's so much more than that. And I think we seem to forget what exactly the importance of what it means, what it has meant to some, and what it should mean to all.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, when election day passed, last election, I had the sticker. I was out here with my fit, had the little sticker right there, threw it on the story. Do things like that, because those things really do matter. They help grab your audience, your friends, all those different people that, witness your social media. You gotta show that it's important to you, and then maybe they'll value it more.
And I agree. I feel like you should show joy and a sense of accomplishment when you do vote. You've made a change. You went in there and you spoke up and you voted for what you believed in. So you definitely should be excited and happy that you were able to do such a thing.
Yeah. I also think, though, just to touch on really quickly, what else can we do outside of voting? Like, okay, I registered, I voted, I'm here. Now what do I do? What do y'all think?
So, I mean, you have these events that go on, I want to say not every week, but twice, 3 times a month. You have get out to vote rallies. You have the protests that have been going on that so many people felt so empowered to be a part of. And at that point in time, y'all were sitting at home watching TV. Y'all was out in the streets putting feet on bricks, marching to what you believed in. And it needs to be that same strength behind voting. And not just in 2020, but in 2021, 22, 23, so on and so forth. And this momentum needs to keep building up. But to your point, after, you made your vote and you feel like you feel accomplished, like we said before, if that person that you put in office, you decided to put in office, is not upholding what they said they were going to, then it's your civic duty to make sure that they are upholding what they said they were going to, that they're sticking to their word, that they're being accounted for, and they're being held to what they said they were going to.
Yeah. I just want to say really quickly, remember what they said. Listen to what they say. Quote them to themselves. Be like, remember, because we love receipts. Our generation, we love receipts. So quote them. Be like, remember on this date, at this time, at this rally, at this, when you were talking to me and you promised me and you promised so-and-so. Because there's nothing else that they can do or say at that point but check themselves and remind themselves of who put them there. You are not slave to a politician. They work for you. You are their entire job. Without you, there is no job.
Right. So
remind them of that. I put you here. You said this to me. Do it or get voted out.
What did they say? I put you on this earth and I can take you? No, I'm playing.
You know what?
But I think another great way to get out and be counted for, as well as, after voting or even before you vote, is to get involved with the campaign. Volunteer hours are a major thing, especially for college students. I know that, I want to become a doctor one day, an anesthesiologist, and volunteer hours, even though it's not necessarily in a hospital, to get into med school, they look at how many volunteer hours you've done, who you did it with. And, being involved with the campaign is a great way to make easy volunteer hours. And not even just if you're in it for the hours, but just to feel like you helped the society. You helped society move forward. It's a great feeling. It's a monumental feeling.
I also wanted to add, when you go out and you vote, you also want to get people to go along with you. So make it your goal to get at least 20 people to vote. So if you got a large group of friends, you call all your cousins, your granny, your friends, all of those people, the paper boy, let them all know we want to go out and we should all vote. You should be coming up to your spot with 20 people behind you. You should be in a group. You should be separate 2 and 2. Just go out and vote and bring people you know along with you. And that way the effective spreads and it gets large, and we've made a bigger change just by calling up somebody and letting them know, hey, you remember go vote today, or things of that nature.
And with the absentee ballot, all you have to do is send a text. Hey, did you fill out your ballot? Did you mail it? It's over.
Yeah.
Look, we text about everything else.
Exactly. No, I was just gonna add, this may seem like a lot to a lot of people. It may seem really heavy, but I would just say take it in baby steps. Start sending texts, just inviting people, and even you can start locally. Make sure you attend city council meetings. Go to the things that are happening in your community to make sure you know what's going on. Just research and make sure you're reading. It's not, it takes time to get where you want to be. So just make sure, don't put too much pressure on yourself. You just take a step every day.
Yeah, and usually things like city council meetings are filmed, so you can find them on the internet, on YouTube and stuff like that. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes the line be boring when you're waiting to vote. So, 5 people at least. You just slide through to the polls, and you be chilling. They're looking at me, but you be chilling, and that way it's you held your friends accountable. It's a good experience and all that, but we kind of got to wrap it up now.
Right. So this is the end of our show. We really just want to encourage you and tell you how simple it is to vote, especially via absentee ballot. Don't forget to get out to the polls August 4th and the November date. And goodbye. Have a good night.
Bye.